to survive, but
do some damage.
To do damage and
put him on the knee.
Basically, bring it to a draw. Which, if they do change this because of that knee, it becomes a victory. I think it should be a victory for him, and I think they should do a rematch.
100%.
People just make excuses all they want, and ain't my gym no excuse. Gervonta did some great things in the ring. He just was there with another great fighter. I don't want to hit nothing about no out focus and all that stuff. Gervonta always looking out the ring, looking at the screen. Every fight. Now all of a sudden he do a little something this fight. Oh, he ain't focused. So I ain't trying to.
Zero. What do you have to do to create enough separation where this don't happen again?
Whew. To survive, but do some damage to do damage and put him on the knee, basically bring it to a draw. Which if they do change this because of that knee, it becomes a victory. That's I want it. I think it should be a victory for him, and I think they should do a rematch 100%. That night he just make excuses all they want. It ain't much no excuse. Gervonta did some great things that ring. He just was there with another great fighter. I don't want no outfocus and all that stuff. Gervonta always looking at the screen every fight. Now all of a sudden he do a little something like, oh, he ain't a Joe Rogan and Floyd Mayweather have broken down the Tank vs. Roach rematch in a way that cuts through all the noise surrounding one of the most debated fights of the year. What started as about meant to remind the world why Tank is seen as one of boxing's most dangerous names ended up sparking a full-blown controversy. Now, months later, that controversy has only grown louder, especially after Rogan publicly stated that Lamont Roach Jr. was the rightful winner of their first meeting. The original fight, which took place on March 1st, ended in a majority draw. Most fans expected Davis to outclass Roach given his reputation for brutal knockouts and his history of finishing opponents with little effort. But what followed that night surprised just about everyone watching. Roach showed up with a game plan and discipline that many weren't expecting. He didn't just survive Tank Davis. He matched him round for round and in the eyes of many outperformed him. How many rematches have you fought? 0. What do you have to do to create enough separation where this don't happen again? Woo. That's a good question. It's going to be based on my training camp. I have to push myself a little harder if that didn't get me to win, and I have room. I definitely have room. I'm not going to lie. I have room. You believe you fought the best Gervonta, or do you think he got some more gears? 100% for a fact. I think he might have some more gears, but I fought the best Gervonta that night. Joe Rogan didn't hold back on his thoughts. On his podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, while discussing the fight with comedian Tom Segura, Rogan brought up how Davis didn't look like himself and how Roach may have done enough to win outright. You could even argue that Roach won that fight. Rogan said that line has since been repeated across social media, especially by those who already believe the fight was scored unfairly. They have the outstanding title fight last night between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach. I had never seen them on fight before, but I'm a big fan now. Fight was a draw, but it was an amazing contest, and I really hope they run it back. What made Rogan's take even more impactful was the way he linked Davis's performance to the decline that sometimes happens to elite fighters. He talked about how even the greats eventually slow down. Everyone has a limited number of times they can perform at their best, he said. While he didn't say Davis is finished, he hinted that what we saw in March could be the start of a new chapter. One where Davis has to fight harder than ever just to stay on top. Man, he got lucky to draw. He did a good fight though. I thought he won it, but man, he got to just create more action. That's a sparring session as far as I'm concerned. Oh my God! God damn. That's not the serve I know. Now with the rematch officially set for August 16th in Las Vegas, the pressure has shifted. The burden is no longer on Roach to prove he belongs in the ring with a star like Davis. It's on Davis to prove that what happened last time was a fluke, not a warning sign. A close win won't be enough for Tank to silence critics and restore confidence. He needs to dominate. Anything less than that will raise more questions about his future. Roach, on the other hand, is stepping into this rematch with momentum. As the WBA super featherweight champion, he's already proven his worth. But what he wants now is validation. Not just a title, but a definitive win over Davis. Many fans and analysts already believe he earned that win in March. All he has to do now is do it again. This time without leaving any doubt. Did you see him kind of messing with his eye, or did you have any indication that was something that was bothering him? No. See, and that's the thing. If you look at the whole fight, he was never bothering his eyes before you jabbed him. Before I jabbed him. Even that right hand that you know what I'm saying? That kind of landed. He kind of rolled with it. But after that, you could see him wipe his eye. And then right after I hit him with the jab, you can see him wipe his other eye. So, it's like it was corresponding to which hand that I punched him with, and exactly which app. Davis, meanwhile, hasn't helped his own case with how he's explained what went wrong. After the fight, he suggested that a hair product used before the bout got into his eyes, impairing his vision. It got to the point where his corner was caught wiping his eyes between rounds, which by boxing rules is technically illegal. That moment, like the 9th round knee, became another talking point for those who feel the fight wasn't handled properly. The New York State Athletic Commission even launched an investigation into the incident, examining whether the officiating and in-corner actions broke any rules. Honestly, I thought I should have won without that being counted or knocked down. Look, I ain't the ref. I ain't really, you know what I'm saying? If he had to wipe sweat out his eye, he had to wipe short out his eye. But the rules do state if you voluntarily take a knee, then that's an automatic account. But it is what it is. I wasn't relying on that. I was relying on what I was doing. And I think I was taking control. Floyd Mayweather's family also added to the conversation. Jeff Mayweather, Floyd's uncle and a former pro boxer himself, gave his take on the 9th round incident. He said that based on the rules, Davis going to a knee should have been ruled a knockdown regardless of whether the punch was powerful or not. If we go by the rules of boxing, it was a knockdown, Jeff said. He emphasized that the rules are clear. If a punch lands and a fighter's knee touches the canvas, it's a knockdown. That round should have been scored 10-8 for Roach. And if that had happened, the result would have been different. Instead of a draw, Roach might have walked away with a win on the cards. You can't be a championship fighter and taking a knee and putting on those type of performances. Also, what are they putting in his hair that when he's sweating is dripping into his eyes? Even outside the boxing world, voices are weighing in. American rapper and boxing fan Gilly Did gave a blunt take in an interview with Fight Hype. He brought up something few others have talked about, the changes in Tank's corner. Gilly pointed out that longtime trainer Calvin Ford wasn't front and center during the fight, and neither was Kenny Ellis, who has been part of Davis's core team for years. Instead, someone else was leading the corner that night. That change in Gilly's view was a bad move. If something is not broke, you don't fix it, he said. I think Gervonta had a bad night. I look for a tough fight in the next fight, but I still see Gervonta winning. I think Gervonta will win in a little easier this time. But Roach is a heck of a fighter. He's going to give everybody a hard, anybody that fights is going to give a hard time. But I do think that Davis had an off night. I spoke to Eddie Hearn and he said he wanted to make the Shakur Tank fight straight away. Obviously now Tank's going into the rematch. That won't happen yet, but when it does happen, Eddie's still adamant that could. He stressed that Davis is the type of fighter who performs better when he's pushed and challenged. Gilly recalled the Davis vs. Mario Barrios fight where Floyd Mayweather had to walk over to Davis mid-fight and tell him he was down on the unofficial scorecards that fired Tank up and helped him dig deep for a late stoppage win. Without that kind of motivation, Gilly thinks Davis can get too comfortable, which may explain what happened in the Roach fight. I mean, that's exciting. Yeah, man. Definitely needed a rematch. But this, I'm going to be real, James. I think Lamont really has a good chance with this rematch. 'Cause it's things that I've seen him, do with Gervonta that he nobody else showed me, that can get out of him. Like, he was giving him a hard time. And that knee they didn't count. He did take a knee and walk out. There's a lot of that stuff. So the narrative now includes more than just what happened in the ring. It's also about Davis's support system, his training camp, and whether changing up the corner dynamics before a big fight was a misstep. Many fans are asking why Ford and Ellis weren't in their usual roles, and whether their absence affected Davis mentally and strategically. After all, chemistry matters. And in boxing, having the right voices in your ear during a fight can make all the difference. Like I said, both of them are great fighters, man. I mean, good fighters, too. Great fighter. Who going to have an edge this time? Yeah. Not saying he going to win, though, but Lamont, why? He went away. Everybody's saying that he won. He won the fight. You know what I mean? And. Then when he took that knee, that really was supposed to be a disqualification, you know what I mean? And then you can't go to the corner and get your eyes wiped, you know what I mean? With the town and all that, you know what I mean? Anybody else would have got disqualified. Interestingly, Calvin Ford himself later addressed